Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass. Thank you for watching this Ag Forecast, brought to you by Agrible, the makers of Morning Farm Report. Our software gives growers the insights to make the best decisions possible about their operations. Well, I'm recording this video late in the evening on Wednesday ahead of the August 10th USDA report, and I want to kind of give you some insights into what I think happened in July that might impact the corn and soybean yields that we're going to expect to see from that USDA report. So what we've got here is a map showing you the July 2017 statewide precipitation ranks. Essentially, there's a number in each state, and it shows you, based on the 123-year record, how close it was to the wettest year on record, which would be 123, or the driest, which would be 1. And what we saw throughout the month of July was that for most of the month there was a western ridge, which is why we see a lot of the states out west quite dry, including Montana and North Dakota, being very, very dry. But with that northwest flow, a lot of shower and thunderstorm activity that went through basically the eastern part of the Corn Belt, with really Indiana and Ohio here getting very close to their record wettest July. And what this tells me is that we didn't have very uniform rainfall across the Corn Belt. We've been discussing the drought stresses that have been going on in parts of western Iowa, as well as parts of Illinois, and also parts of the Dakotas and Nebraska. And so this just tells me that the garden spot is shrunk. It's smaller than it was last year. And of course, our conditions ratings are really revealing that our good to excellent ratings are significantly less. And a lot of that's due to where the precipitation fell. Now, in addition to this, here are the statewide temperature ranks. And that western ridge that's set up over here really made the western United States quite warm, as it did in the western Corn Belt. But you can see we had near average temperatures for the eastern Corn Belt when put on the whole. But do remember that even though this came in near average, for about 10 days around the third week of the month, we had that pretty intense heat wave that centered right here in the country. So it was a very, kind of mixed bag in terms of the way that our temperatures were delivered during the month of July. And what all this points me to is to kind of say that it was not as ideal as it was in 2014 or 2016. Now, as we get into the month of August, things have been quite different. The ridges really moved back to the west, which is why we've been scorching the west coast. Multiple days of triple-digit heat here, while a broad trough and even some zonal flow have been really occupying the center part of the country. Hence the cooler than average temperatures we've gotten to enjoy, really, for the first 8 days of the month of August. Now, just to show you how hot things and how dry things have been out west, here's a satellite image. This is from our satellite called MODIS, showing you the hazy skies, all the smoke that's filling the skies from the fires that have broken out in the Pacific Northwest. And this was anticipated. A very wet winter led to a lot of early spring vegetative growth, and all of that during the dry season is dried out and basically supplied the fuel necessary for these fires. Now, by the way, if you're in the central part of the country, one of the neat things we'll benefit from this is we'll see some pretty spectacular sunsets on some nights. That's because the smoke to our west means that the sunlight has to travel through that. It scatters away a lot of the blue light and the green light and some of the yellow, leaving us with some deep oranges and reds as the sun sets on those clearer nights. But certainly don't want to say I get great sunsets while people in the Northwest are dealing with fires and really poor air quality. But it's just something to look out for. Now, here's the flow pattern of the atmosphere that's been bringing us this interesting weather. Let me start this for us. What you're going to see here is the atmosphere is pinched up into this huge ridge along the west coast. It kind of dives into a trough here that really goes zonal across the country. And it's introduced a pretty large area of higher atmospheric pressure in the center part of the country. But this is a flow pattern that doesn't allow for heat to really build into the middle part of the country. And that's why over the next 10 days, we see that there's a low probability of having above 90 temperatures for almost all of the Corn Belt. This map is showing you the total number of days over the next 10 days as forecast by the European model that'll see 90+ degree weather. And it's primarily confined to Texas and the desert southwest and up the west coast United States. So the cool pattern is going to hang on at least through mid-August, probably a little bit farther than that. Now, let's turn our attention to precipitation. Here we're looking at the last 7 days of accumulated rainfall. We've had some nasty storms in parts of Oklahoma, but we have had some pretty broad shower and thunderstorm activity across the Dakotas and Minnesota. This is helping make the Minnesota crop even better, and it's trying to rescue what we have left out of the North and South Dakota corn and soybean and wheat crops. But notice we've had a pretty sizable hole right through the heart of the Corn Belt here, where the last 7 days have been relatively dry, just a few hit or miss showers and storms. And that's important to see, because when I stretch this out of the last 14 14 days, we can see that that same region here is considerably drier than it would be normally. This is a percent of normal map. Now, I just want you to see this because as we go into the forecast in the near term, seeing how the precipitation in this area plays out through the middle of August will be important for our bean yields, given that August and August precipitation are what make our bean yields great across the central part of the country. So let's get into that. The animation you're watching here shows us basically Thursday through Sunday what precipitation is going to look like. Now let me start it back over and show you a few features we're watching out for. We do have kind of associated with that trough in the flow of the jet stream, a low pressure center that on Wednesday was producing showers and thunderstorms across the Dakotas getting into Minnesota. We need to watch the position of the cold front as it gets dragged through the Corn Belt. And as we move forward here, we can see that by the time we get into early Thursday morning, and into midday on Thursday, that cold front might be kind of dragged across parts of Iowa and Illinois, bringing us a chance for some showers and storms on Thursday for those two states. But notice as we get through this, most of the rain stays here near the Great Lakes states and also stays in the central United States, possibly leaving most of Iowa and Illinois dry in the coming days. There is another chance as that front kind of tries to move its way through that we could get a blowup of showers and storms right here as we get into late in the night on Thursday into Friday morning. But there is some uncertainty as to the timing and the amount of rain that comes towards the end of the week. So what I'm telling you is, if you live in Iowa and Illinois, those regions that have been dry, we've got chances for showers and storms through Friday getting into late Friday afternoon, but after that things are going to tend to clear out. I want to show you this from a little bit different perspective. I want to take you up about a mile high in the atmosphere, and I'm going to show you why we're expecting to see some big time rains basically stretching from the south central plains all the way over to the southeast. So here we are. We've started this on late Wednesday night into Thursday morning. As I move forward here, you're going to see that low pressure center drawing some very humid air along its cold frontal boundary, and that's what's going to bring the chance for showers and storms into Iowa and Illinois. But watch this. After that system goes by, we get northerly flow here while we have southerly flow out of the Gulf of Mexico. And basically these two kind of air masses collide right into this area where the atmosphere is exceptionally juicy. And it stays like that getting into our weekend, getting into Sunday and Monday, where we have some drier air that stays here and some really, really humid air that kind of sets up basically from Colorado, like I said, through parts of Texas, getting into the southeast. Now, what does all of that mean? Well, when we look over the next 7 days, we see that there's pretty strong model agreement here that it's going to be very wet from our central states here into the southwest, whereas it could be, a little bit drier here because of the flow of the atmosphere coming from the northwest into parts of Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, southern Wisconsin. So we got to watch this closely. Not saying it's not going to get any rain, but it's dry. It's a drier pattern, and that's basically because of the flow of that trough plus the mid-level flow bringing us some northerly winds for a few days here. But if you live in these states and you're watching this video, there's quite a bit of shower and thunderstorm activity we're anticipating in the near future. Now, do you see this? What we've got going over here is that the European model and the US GFS model are picking up on the redevelopment of what's called right now Invest 99L. It's a low pressure center we're watching. It could bring quite a bit of shower and thunderstorm activity just off the East Coast. At least that's the current forecast. Here it is as being watched by the National Hurricane Center. They're giving it a halfway decent chance of reorganizing as it gets into this region. And by the way, as you see this, we right now are dealing with Hurricane Franklin. Franklin is our first tropical system to reach hurricane strength. It is going to be making landfall in Mexico, not really being a major factor for the United States. But I want to just bring back to your attention, we do need to watch that cluster of tropical thunderstorms here called Invest 99L, because there's some model agreement that it could reinvigorate, potentially becoming a tropical storm, getting up close to the southeast coast of the United States. So if you live in these states and you're watching this video, this is something I want you to be paying very close attention to in the coming days. And I'll finish kind of with this. I just want to let you know that the tropics are where we need to turn our attention to for the rest of our growing season as we get into harvest as well. This map is showing you total heat content of the tropical ocean here in the Gulf, the Caribbean, and the Western Atlantic. And what I want you to see here is that the ocean temperatures have plenty of heat in them to support the development of strong tropical cyclones. So if something is triggered and gets into these waters, it could very easily come through the Caribbean, get into the Gulf, and go into the lower Mississippi River Valley or into Texas or come into the southeast. If it stays out here because of the position of the strong subtropical high, it probably will curl right up here in the Gulf Stream, but we got to watch all of this closely from now all the way to December 1st. And with that, I'll wrap up this video. We hope you look forward to Agrible's next Ag Forecast on Monday. To get Morning Farm Report for your operations, complete with a daily email that shows a snapshot of your field conditions each morning, go to morningfarmreport.com. Sign up for our free account. Full grower accounts are free if you sign up for our Sustainable Yield Program or for growers who work with 80 merchandisers. Thank you for watching. Look forward to talking to you again on Monday.